name's Dan Westgarth, and I'm the COO at Deel. Deel is the platform for the future of work. We help companies hire anyone, no matter where they may be.
I'm Sebastián, Kanovich, CEO of dLocal. At dLocal, we are building financial infrastructure for emerging markets, essentially connecting global companies with users across Latin America, Africa, and APAC through payments, payouts, issuing, and fraud solutions.
I think the new world of work is split into two sides. One side is for the remote worker, and the other side is for the business that is hiring the remote worker. I'll start with the remote worker. I think it really is grounded or routed with flexibility. It's flexibility over where you work, when you work, how you look when you work. Previously, in order to get a job, you would have to be within, say, a 50-mile radius of your employer's office. Today, talent is everywhere and the work can coexist with that. I think from the business perspective, the new world of work is founded in data, talent availability, and those two things really sit side by side. So while you can hire anyone, anywhere, they can be cross-border, cross-state, cross-country. If you don't have a good set of data, engaging them, knowing how much to pay them, the currency to pay them, the benefits to give them is really, really tough. And I think when we ended the pandemic, that data bit was really, really missing. But now it's there if you look in the right places and if businesses utilize the right tools, and they can use that data to really, really empower this next phase of remote work.
When you look at the history of work, historically, people used to work for the company that was next door. Now you see people from India, from Nigeria, from Brazil, from Mexico working for companies that might be Chinese, European, or even American. And that means that there's a lot of friction and a lot of complexity in terms of payments. Why? Because people want to get paid on time and in local currency, but those rails were historically not there. Companies like Deel have solved many parts of that issue from a hiring perspective, but then the payment space continues to be extremely critical, and that has driven a lot of demand for us.
We've seen a huge increase in demand for global payments. I think of payments on two sides. As a payroll platform, I have clients that need to fund us or pay us, send money to us. And then we have remote workers that we need to pay. Key thing here is that it's on a global level. Typically, payments exist domestically. An employer might fund the payroll platform in their country, and then they pay their employees in their country. At Deel, we have clients funding us internationally. So it might be that we have a business from Singapore that's funding Deel in Singaporean dollars or US dollars or Australian dollars. Once those funds are received by Deel, they're converted into the required currencies and then paid to the remote contractors and employees. Previously, this wasn't done before. Both legs of the transactions are international, and that's producing the increased demand.
The first and probably most important thing is the idea that every payment is done locally. So we won't be sending wires overseas. If it's a transaction that it's gonna end in Indonesia, we make sure that it's done through an Indonesian banking channel or a wallet. If it's done in Egypt, we'll make sure it's an Egypt payout. And the same happens with any of the 37 markets where we operate. When you avoid cross-border funds, you make sure that there's less friction, you have more visibility in terms of the payments, and therefore you manage to get much faster payments, which in this particular case we are discussing is extremely important. These are people waiting for their salaries or the result of their work, so delays are not acceptable. Deel and us, we share a very common DNA in the sense that we are extremely international companies and we understand the complexities of this market. We come from a very complementary standpoint. We look at this problem and we believe it's going to continue it has a lot of potential, but it's also full of friction, and we're both trying to solve that problem. So this has been a partnership that has allowed us to go from one market to 18 markets today. There's so much more we can do on the issuing front, adding new geographies, continue to make sure that payments hit the employees or co-workers on time. So many and very exciting things to do ahead.
Going international is easier than ever before. Previously, going international typically meant hiring a general manager or a CEO, investing a lot of money into a market entry, and that market entry taking up a long time. Therefore, the return on investment was relatively difficult to measure, key component being time. Now, international expansion can happen much easier, and proof of concept and ROI can be measured on a much shorter time frame. My advice to younger, ambitious businesses: go global quickly, but only if you feel you have reached domestic market saturation. Otherwise, going global, even though it is easier, can still be a distraction. We're working on many new currencies and payment routes with dLocal. We're starting to offer more complex services in more exotic markets. One of the things that we love about dLocal as a partner of ours is the approach to exotic and complex markets. dLocal is able to support those markets and able to support a lot of functionality within.
In terms of what next, ours are two companies that are highly complementary. Both Deel and us view the future of work as something that we're going to continue to see more and more people working remotely. There's so much we can do. We started from 1 country to 17 countries today, adding new geographies, offering local credit cards, making sure money continues to hit the bank accounts on time. Very exciting future ahead for this partnership.